Hello and welcome to Navigating Baby Loss. I'm Jen, and today I wanted to talk to you about a topic that is really common for a lot of my clients, and that is how to return to work after your baby loss. It's one of those things that we put on the back burner until all of a sudden someone's expecting us to be back to work. Maybe there's even a part of you that wants to go back to work, but you can't imagine how, because the last time you were there, you were pregnant. So this can be a really, really hard journey. It can be very overwhelming for moms to think about, how do I do this? And lots of times, a lot of my clients struggle with, I don't even want to do the career that I've been doing all this time. I have no passion for it. So the idea of returning to work can sometimes really feel impossible because your whole life has changed. And so getting back to your everyday routine is a struggle. Say nothing about having to show up at a job and be focused and be productive while you're grieving. If you are feeling this, you're not alone. I know many of my clients struggle with this same decision. So, we're going to talk today about the challenges of what it means to lose your passion, be in a depressive state. You're likely still in a depression when you're expected to go back to work. You have lack of focus. You have to face your coworkers' questions. We'll try to get some clarity for you on when is the right time to return, or should you request more time off, and how to make that transition smoother, and even maybe addressing the reality that sometimes going back to your job just is impossible and how that's okay too. I know for myself, I'll just start with my own story, and that is that after the loss of my twins, I had my own business as a hairstylist. And so I thought, well, that'll be great. I mean, it's all people who really care about me and they will embrace me. Everyone knew I live in a small town, so news travels fast. And I thought it was just going to be a really easy transition. And it turns out it was so exhausting. It was so much harder than I thought because people's curiosity was asking so many questions. People were offering advice that was not helpful. And just the mental and physical energy it took to stand behind that chair as a hairstylist and do the tasks that I knew how to do, but needed so much more mental energy than I had. And also, I had two little boys. So they were at home waiting for me when I was done with this exhausting day of 8 to 10 clients per day asking me all the questions, talking about all the things, unloading their own life problems on me. And I was not prepared for that. I did not even consider how exhausting that would be. So I love this topic. I think it's a really important one. Whether you've already gone back to work or you're thinking about going back to work, it's a great topic to get some clarity on and make some honest decisions about what you should be doing in this season when it comes to your career and job. And it's not lost on me that it may be an absolute necessity for you to go back to work. And my heart goes out to you. I know there's so many in that situation that it's not an option to call and request more time or not go back at all. So, how can you make that a little bit easier on yourself too? I'm hoping that this conversation will give you some insight too if you're in that situation. As lost moms, this is what we know more than anything. The minute our baby died, the minute we heard the news, the minute we had the confirmation of that gut feeling, we are no longer the same person. All of your priorities have shifted. Everything that was once important to you probably isn't anymore. You have had a firsthand life experience of what is important in life and what is not. So, the job that you once have done that fulfilled you might not anymore. And that's okay. About 30% of women end up changing their careers because their job doesn't align with their new reality. It doesn't mean that you're incapable. It just means that you are different. You have changed, and you already know that. So if you are feeling differently about your job, this is normal. It's okay. Loss reshapes you and your whole life. You have a new perspective on what is meaningful. If you are that person who just can't go back for whatever reason, I want you to know it's okay. And you're not alone. I talk to many women who feel the same way. You do want to return. You're just not sure when or how. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. So if the idea of returning to work is exhausting, it's the truth. Grief is really tiring. It's tiring on your physical body, your mental body, your emotional state, everything. It's exhausting on every single level. If depression is setting in, your energy and your focus may feel non-existent. You probably worry that you won't perform as well as you did, or that you're going to constantly fall short and maybe not feel like you're as worthy in your business or your company as you once were. If you're feeling this way, I want to encourage you to talk to your doctor. Maybe you need some medication. There's no shame in seeking this kind of help. And this decision is entirely about what's best for your well being. This is something that I definitely work with my clients with all the time, helping them create a plan of number one, are they returning to work? And when they return to work, how are they going to do it? And what is their time frame? We get all of these things really carefully mapped out for them because you can't do this alone. You can't make these decisions on your own because they're so emotional. You may have someone at your workplace who is rushing you to get back to work because they need your job done by you. It's not a great place for you to be seeking advice from your workplace. Having some support through that is super important while you're making these important decisions. One of the common challenges is dealing with your coworkers who may or may not know about your loss. How do you prepare yourself mentally and emotionally for those people at your workplace who either know about your loss, but may be insensitive to you because of it and say things like, well, at least you don't have to get up in the night and take care of a baby. You should be well rested. It's happened. Or preparing yourself emotionally for somebody's pregnancy announcement in the office or for someone who doesn't know about your baby and asks how the baby is. There's so many scenarios that can happen in the workplace. So preparing yourself a bunch of canned answers if that's what you need, or being willing to share with certain ones, but not others, or whatever it is. Have some really short practiced responses for all of these scenarios because chances are they're going to come up. You could say something like, thank you for your concern. It's been really difficult, but I'm managing. You don't owe anyone any details, explanations, or anything beyond what you're comfortable sharing and what your relationship is with that person. That's really what makes the difference. So, how can you determine if you're ready to return? Here's a few ways to do that little internal check in if that's where you are right now. The first thing is to think about your emotional readiness. So if you're just thinking about going back makes you dread it or makes you anxious, maybe you need to request a little more leave and see your company's policies. Find someone compassionate in your HR department if possible. But just really thinking about where are you emotionally? What can you handle? What do you know you can handle? Because maybe a month from now, it might be a little better if you're able to do that. Maybe 2 months from now. If you are feeling that dread and anxiety, chances are you're not going to go in and do a great job So maybe it is something that needs to be put on the back burner for a little bit. The second thing would be a visit to your office. Maybe you visit your workplace. Maybe you see the people, your coworkers, feel how it feels before making the decision to return. Can you envision yourself being there and coping on a day-to-day basis? That might be a great way to ease back into it. And the third thing would be to talk to your supervisor about a phased return. Maybe you can work from home a couple days. Maybe you can just go in a couple hours and just slowly get yourself back into the groove because this is a different experience. You are a different person. You're in a very fragile mind space. And lots of times they are willing to accommodate you rather than not coming at all. So, taking those little steps, I always think too, it's important to have someone in your workplace who is your advocate. Do you have a friend or a coworker that can go ahead of you and say, okay, she's returning to work, and here are the things that she is willing to talk about. Here's what she's not willing to talk about. Don't ask questions about this and that. She may be a little more tired than normal. She may be a little foggy. Please be patient. If you can have someone go ahead of you and do that lead in before you arrive back to work, that's super helpful too. Here are some steps that you can take to ease the transition. Maybe some shorter work days initially, having that safe person at work who can offer you support that can help you through those first few days, weeks of returning to work. Scheduling regular breaks throughout your day to step away, go outside, take a breath of fresh air, or just gather yourself emotionally. If you're able to step away and get some fresh air, change your scenery, change your environment a little bit, that will help recharge and preserve your emotional energy because it's just draining. It's just going to be harder than it's ever been, and it's going to be more tiring. So you need to find ways to recharge yourself more often during the day, especially in the first few weeks or months upon your return. And then try to have an open dialogue with your supervisor or manager or whoever's in charge. Let them know I'm doing the best I can. I may need to ask for a few extra things here and there just to help me get through this period of time. I'm really trying to adjust as best as I can and do the best I can here, but it's a process. Just letting them know and checking in with them on how you're doing, how things are going, because I promise they would rather you do that than have you leave unexpectedly. Just know where you are. Know what feels right for you. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need from the people you work with or from the clients. Maybe in the beginning, you aren't forward facing with clients because they tend to ask a lot of questions. Maybe in the beginning, it's just you behind the scenes. Maybe you're providing support work. See what options there is at your job before making the decision of when to return and how you're going to return. Really think about the options. Give yourself extra runway with every decision that you can. Extend your time off, whatever you need, because this is a very hard time. And rushing back to work, even though it feels like it would be great for you to be back to normal. And lots of my clients think, oh, I'm going to go right back because the sooner I can get back to normal, the better. But that doesn't really work. That doesn't work in these situations because we don't even know what normal is anymore. You have to establish who you are, what your new normal is following your loss. If your career, your job, your workplace just isn't for you anymore, that's okay too. Don't beat yourself up about it. It is very common. And a lot of times there can be shifts of your career or your job. It doesn't mean that you're weak. And it can be incredibly self-loving to let yourself know that this season requires something different of you. And that's okay. Your loss is reshaping your entire life. So, why wouldn't it make sense that your career or your job might also be affected by this? As much as we would love to turn it around and not have this perspective on life, it reshapes how you see things for the rest of your life. If this is something that you need extra support on and would love to talk to me about it, I would love to have you schedule a free support call with me and we can talk about the options that you have about going back to work and what might feel best as you are making this transition back into the workplace from losing your baby. I'll see you next week.